guys, what's up? Hey, LB. Hey, Mare. Artsy. Hey, J-Ro. I put the link in for you, Artsy. There was something I wanted to show you guys too. One of the members was denied parole. They were trying to get out. It wasn't a female; it was a male. It'll probably take me forever to find it. It was on my phone, but now it's gone. Hey, Artsy.
Hello.
Did you see that? Okay, I can't remember his name, but there's a guy that was part of the Manson family, and he's trying to get out, and he was just denied parole again. Did you see that article?
Yeah, it's Bruce Davis.
Bruce Davis. Okay. I wanted to read that as well. Hey, Karina Shiba. So I thought that was interesting. That can go with our little reading today. But now I gotta find it.
I have it. I put it on my Twitter. I can message you in it.
Yeah, perfect.
Just a sec.
He was Manson's right-hand man. I didn't know that. I thought it was Tex.
Yeah, he had a few right hand.
Okay, I got it. It's not a long one, so I'll just read that before I start reading the novel here. Okay. You're just here eating. Hey, Dana. All right, so this is from HuffPost. It says, parole denied for a Manson family member who participated in the 1969 slayings. Bruce Davis, 79, was previously recommended for parole 7 times, but those findings were rejected by 3 consecutive governors. Sacramento, California panel on Friday denied parole for a follower of cult leader Charles Manson, convicted of slayings more than a half century ago. Bruce Davis was previously recommended for parole 7 times, but those findings were rejected by 3 consecutive governors. Parole commissioners told the 79-year-old Davis to try again in 3 years. They said he lacks empathy. Michael Beckman, Davis's attorney, said after the hearing before 2 parole commissioners. That's pretty sad that he lacks empathy still. Davis has said he helped kill musician Gary Hinman and stuntman Donald Shorty Shea in 1969. He previously said he cut Shea with a knife and held a gun while Manson cut Hinman's face with a sword. I wanted to be Shirley's favorite guy, he said during a 2014 parole hearing. Afterward, other followers wrote, political piggy on the wall of Hinman's home in his own blood. Davis was not involved in the more notorious killings of actress Sharon Tate and 6 others by the Manson cult the same year. The last 14 commissioners of the parole board found Bruce Davis suitable for parole, as did the last 9 experts who found him at a low risk for violence, said Beckman, Davis's attorney. For these 2 commissioners to think they know better is appalling. Governor Gavin Newsom has consistently rejected parole recommendations for Davis and other followers of Manson who died in prison in 2017 at age 83. His release was previously blocked by Governors Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jerry Brown. Anthony DiMaria, a nephew of victim Thomas James Sebring, argued against Davis's parole on behalf of the Hinman family. Bruce Davis remains in prison because his crimes were so severe and profound that they shook the country to its core with permanent repercussions, said DiMaria. All right, that's it for that one. So that's good that he's not getting out.
Yeah, he's been denied. It wasn't quite 30, but I think it was like 27, 28 times so far. That's how much they have been trying to get out and how long. Some of those denials, though, were only for a year. because you could say you're denied for up to 5 years, 4 years, 3, before you can try again. So usually if they start getting the denials that are just up for a year, then it kind of means they're like closer to being approved.
Yeah.
So it's good that he was finally, because he did have a few 1 year denials, and so this one was 3. So it's good. It's going back in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't think they should ever be let out. Any of them. They should all rot in prison. Al wants to know, has Bruce Davis been in any of the Manson-inspired movies? Not to my knowledge.
Not that I've seen, and I have not seen all of them on purpose because I do not want this all. It
wasn't in the Helter Skelter one, and not the ones I've seen either.
No, they will show the murder of Hinman in the Helter Skelter one, and they do show that in a couple other movies, but they usually have one of the killers named Bobby Beausoleil featured during that time. I also haven't seen them really show the murder of Shorty Shea. There might be a passing kind of like mention about it, but Davis and Shea haven't really been in the movies too much.
No.
At least that I've seen.
Bobby and Tex, LB says. Hey, Brittany. Yeah, because that's what I always thought, that Tex was the main guy, his henchman,
There was a little bit of competition for it. Some people wanted to be his little right-hand buddy. Some people wanted to be him and go have their own cults. It was a freaking shitfest.
Big shit face. Big shit face. Shit face. I meant shit fest. Oh. All right, I'll get reading here. That was I'm still in this long ass chapter. It's still okay. So this one's still called "The Search for the Motive," and it's dated February 1970. Just gonna take a drink. Later on, the lyrics go, "You say you got a real solution. Well, we all love to see the plan. The meaning of this was obvious to Manson. Sing out, Charlie, and tell us how we can escape the Holocaust. Of all the Beatles songs, Revolution 9 is easily the weirdest. Reviewers couldn't decide whether it was an exciting new direction for rock or an elaborate put-on. One critic said it reminded him of a bad acid trip. Hey, Nancy. Yeah, I'm reading Helter Skelter, Al. Yep. I don't know, what would you say, Artsy? Oh, yeah, I'm in them, just over half.
I was going to just say you're in the middle, because there's a big range of middle.
Middle. In the middle. Brittany says, I thought they would show Davison Once Upon a Time in Hollywood during the Spawn Ranch scene with Brad Pitt.
That was a difficult movie to watch. I'm not going to lie. Have you seen that one, Nikki?
No, what is it? What is that about?
Well, it does. Excuse me. It's got like let me clear my throat real quick.
Yep.
Don't know what was going on there. Sorry. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and it's a definite Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I won't give away the ending, but it does kind of take place in that time, and it does show Manson has a character in the movie, and Sharon Tate, and but yeah, it was very much one of those towards the I don't really want to give away the ending, but it had a little bit of like that fork in the road.
Yeah.
If history could have gone just a little bit different this way type feels, type.
Yeah.
And that's what made it a little hard for me to watch. Although there are some things that happen to specific people in that movie that I think was absolutely awesome and couldn't happen to anybody better. It's like one of the killers. You should.
Okay,
one of the killers, I will say this, I will give one little bit away, gets hit by a flaming torch. It was awesome.
Shit.
But it kind of goes off on this whole other kind of tangent. Yeah. It's definitely Quentin Tarantino film. I mean, it's still a good movie. It was just when I first watched it, and I watched it in theaters, and I was with a coworker who knew like my family's history, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
is it a little weird to be in a theater watching a show that has Manson in it with someone my mother was in the Manson family? She's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little strange.
I never heard of that one. I'm surprised I didn't see it. I've seen quite a few of them.
Yep, flamethrower. Yeah.
And because it's Quentin Tarantino, yeah, I'm definitely got to see that one. Yeah, because it's exactly. It's a Quentin Tarantino, just to say the least. A flamethrower. Holy frig. Well, that's quite the way to go.
Yeah, I ended up having to call one of. I have luckily I've got a buddy that and we've actually have shown her on your channel talking about the Manson stuff before, and so if I have any like I need to talk moments, she's my kind of my go-to for
good
for any of the Manson stuff. And I guess she had actually had helped with some of that film. After all, she helped with for a few days with this writing the screenplay, and
that would have been awesome to be right there and just So I have to pay full attention to it. I usually do with movies, but no, I'm glad you said that, because sometimes I'll run to the kitchen real quick and grab a drink or something. And I'll make sure that I pause. Sometimes I don't pause movies. This time I will. Make sure it's got 101% of my attention. Alrighty. I'm just going to see how long this is. Oh my God, this chapter is unbelievable. Holy. I don't know how you can call that chapter. Don't kill me, but I don't watch movies. Oh, you suck. I'm just kidding. All right. There are no lyrics as such, nor is it music in any conventional sense. Rather, it is montage of noises, whispers, shouts, snatches of dialogue from the BBC, bits of classical music, motors exploding, babies crying, churches hymns, car horns, and football yells, which, together with the oft reiterated refrain, "Number 9, number 9, number 9, build to a climax of machine gun fire and screams, to be followed by the soft and obviously symbolic lullaby goodnight." Well, that's fucked. That's supposed to be a song from the Beatles. It's Revolution 9. Wow. That's weird. Of all the songs in the White Album, Jacobson said, Charlie spoke mostly of Revolution 9. He said it was the Beatles' way of telling people what was going to happen. It was their way of making prophecy. It directly paralleled the Bible's Revelation 9. It was also the Battle of Armageddon, the coming black-white revolution portrayed in sound, Manson claimed, and after having listened to it myself, I could easily believe that if ever there was such a conflict, this was probably very much what it would sound like. I fall asleep when watching movies. Yeah, I kind of do too sometimes. According to Poston, when Charlie was listening to it, he heard in the background noise. He heard in the background noise, in and around the machine gun fire, and the oinking of pigs, a man's voice saying, "Rise." Listening to the recording again, I also heard it, twice repeated. The first time almost a whisper, the second a long drawn-out scream. It is first heard 2 minutes and 34 seconds into the song, just after the crowd sounds that follow, lots of stab wounds as it were, and informed him on the third night and just before number 9, number 9. This was potent evidence through both Jacobson and Poston. I now linked Manson irrevocably with the word "rise," printed in blood at the LaBianca residence. In Revelation 1, the Beatles had finally decided to commit themselves to the revolution. In Revolution 9, they were telling the black man that now was the time to rise and start it all, according to Charlie. Thanks for not opening but blasting a huge tear along the... Manson found that other messages in his song, including the words "block that Nixon," but as far as his philosophy of Helter Skelter was concerned, these were the most important. Charles Manson was already talking about an intimate black-white war when Greg Jacobson first met him in the spring of '68. There was an underground expression current at that time, "the shit is coming down," variously interpreted as meaning the day of judgment was at hand or all hell was breaking loose, and Charlie often used it in reference to the coming racial conflict. But he wasn't rabid about it, Greg said. It was just one of many subjects that they discussed. When I first met Charlie in June 1968, he really didn't have any of this Helter Skelter stuff going on, Paul Watkins told me. He talked a little bit about the shit coming down, but just barely. He said when the shit comes down, the black man will be on one side and the white will be on the other, and that's all he said about it. Then that December, Capitol issued the Beatles' White Album, one of the songs of which was Helter Skelter. The final stanza went, "Look out, helter skelter, helter skelter, helter skelter. Look out, background scream, helter skelter. She's coming down fast. Yes, she is. Yes, she is." Manson apparently first heard the White Album in Los Angeles while on a trip there from Merca Ranch, where most of the family remained. When Manson returned to Death Valley on December 31st, 1968, he told the group, according to Poston, "Are you hep to what the Beatles are saying? Helter Skelter's coming down. The Beatles are telling it like it is." It was the same expression, except in the place of the word for defecation, Manson now substituted Helter Skelter. Another link had been made, this time to the bloody words on the refrigerator door at the LaBianca residence. Though this was the first time Manson used the phrase, it was not to be the last. Watkins, and he started rapping about this Beatle album and Helter Skelter and all these meanings that I didn't get out of it. And he builds this picture up and he called it Helter Skelter. And what it meant was the Negroes were going to come down and rip the cities all apart. After this, Watkins said, we started listening to the Beatles album constantly. Death Valley is very cold in the winter, so Manson found a 2-story house at 20910 Gresham Street in Canoga Park in the San Fernando Valley, not too far from Spawn Ranch. In January 1969, Watkins says, we all moved into the Gresham Street house to get ready for Helter Skelter, so we could watch it coming down and see all the things on in the city. He, Charlie, called the Gresham Street house the Yellow Submarine from the Beatles movie. It was like a submarine in that when you were in it, you weren't allowed to go out. You could only peek out of the windows. We started designing dune buggies and motorcycles, and we were going to buy 25 Harley Sportsters. We mapped out escape routes to the desert, supply caches, and we all had these different things going on. I watched him building his big picture up, Paul noted. He would do it very slowly, very carefully. I swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Before Helter Skelter came along, Watkins said with a sigh of wishful nostalgia, all Charlie cared about was orgies. Before Jacobson and I had ever discussed the Beatles, I asked him, did Charlie ever talk to you about a black-white revolution? Yeah. That was Helter Skelter, and he believed it was going to happen in the near future, almost immediately. What did he say about the black-white revolution? How would it come about, and what would it accomplish? It would begin with the black man going to white people's homes, ripping off the white people, physically destroying them, until there was open revolution in the streets, until they finally won and took over. The black man would assume the white man's karma. He would then be the establishment. Watkins, he says. He used to explain how it would be so simple to start out. A couple of black people, some of the spades from Watts, would come up into the Bel Air and Beverly Hills district, up in the Rich Piggy district, and just really wipe some people out, just cutting bodies up and smearing blood and writing things on the wall in blood, all kinds of super atrocious crimes that would really make the white man mad. Poston said very much the same thing before I ever talked to Watkins, but with the addition of one very important detail. Manson said a group of real blacks would come out of the ghettos and do an atrocious crime in the richer sections of Los Angeles and other cities. They would do an atrocious murder with stabbing, killing, cutting bodies to pieces, smearing blood on the walls, writing pigs on the walls in the victim's own blood. This was tremendously powerful evidence linking Manson not only with the Tate murders, where pig had been printed in Sharon Tate's blood on the front door of the residence, but also with the LaBianca murders, where death to pigs had been printed in Lino LaBianca's blood on the living room wall. And I questioned Poston in depth as to the Manson's exact words, where the conversation had occurred, when, and who else was present. I then questioned everyone Poston mentioned who was willing to cooperate. Ordinarily, I tried to avoid repetitious testimony in a trial, knowing it can antagonize the jury. However, Manson's Helter Skelter motive was so bizarre that I knew if it was expanded by only one witness, no juror would ever believe it. The conversation had occurred on February 1969 at the Gresham Street house, Poston said. We now had evidence that 6 months before the Tate LaBianca murders, Charles Manson was telling the family exactly how the murders would occur, complete even to writing pigs in the victim's own blood. We now had also linked Manson with every one of the bloody words found at both the Tate and LaBianca residence. But this would only be the beginning. Manson told Watkins. These murders would cause mass paranoia among the whites. Out of their fear, they would go into the ghetto and just start shooting black people like crazy. But all they would kill would be the ones that were the whitey in the first place. The true black race, whom Manson identified at various times as the Black Muslims and the Black Panthers, wouldn't even be affected by it. They would be in hiding, waiting, he said. After the slaughter, the Black Muslims would come out and appeal to the whites, saying, "Look, what you have done to my people," and this would split whitey down the middle, Watkins said, being the hippie liberals and all the uptight conservatives, and it would be like the war between the states, brother against brother, while killing white. That's insane. Wow. Then after the whites had mostly killed off each other, the Black Muslims would come out of hiding and wipe them all out. All except Charlie and the family who would have taken refuge in the bottomless pit in Death Valley. The karma would then have turned. Blackie would be on top, and he would begin to clean up the mess, just like he always has done. He would clean up the mess that the white man made and build the world back up a little bit. Build the cities back up, but then he wouldn't know what to do with it. He couldn't handle it. According to Manson, Watkins said, the black man had the problem. He could only do what the white man had taught him to do. He wouldn't be able to run the world without whiteys showing him how. Watkins says Blackie then would come to Charlie and say, "I know, I did my thing. I killed them all, and I'm tired of killing now. It is all over." And then Charlie would scratch Blackie's fuzzy head and kick him in the butt and tell him to go pick cotton and go be a good, I'm not saying that word, and we would live happily ever after. The family, now grown to 144,000, as predicted in the Bible, a pure white master race would emerge from the bottomless pit. And it would be our world then. There would be no one else except for us and the black servants. And according to the Gospel of Charlie, as related it to his disciple Paul Watkins, he, Charles Willis Manson, the fifth angel, JC, would then rule that world. That is fucked up. Like, really bad. It's insane. Paul Watkins, Brooks Poston, and Greg Jacobson had not only defined Manson's motive, Helter Skelter, Watkins had supplied the missing link. In his sick, twisted, disordered mind, Charles Manson believed that he would be the ultimate beneficiary of the Black-White War and the murders which triggered it. One day at the Gresham Street house, while they were on an acid trip, Manson had reiterated to Watkins and the others that Blackie had no smarts, that the only thing Blackie knows is what Whitey has told him or shown him, and so someone is going to have to show him how to do it. I asked Watkins how to do what? How to bring down Helter Skelter, how to do all these things. Watkins says, Charlie said the only reason it had come down already was because Whitey was feeding his young daughters to the black man in Haight-Ashbury. And he said that if his music came out and all of the beautiful people love, he called it, left Haight-Ashbury, Blackie would turn to Bel Air to get his rocks off. Blackie had been temporarily pacified by the young white girls, Manson claimed. But when he took away the pacifier when his album came out and all the young loves followed Pied Piper Charlie to the desert, Blackie would need another means of getting his frustrations out, and he would then turn to the establishment. But Terry Melcher didn't come through. The album wasn't made. Sometime in late February of 1969, Manson sent Brooks to Juanita to Barker Ranch. The rest of the family moved back to Spawn and began preparing for Helter Skelter. Now there was an actual physical effort to get things together so they could move to the desert, Greg said. Jacobson, who visited the ranch during this period, was startled at the change in Manson. Previously, he had preached oneness of the family, complete in itself, self-sufficient. Now he was cultivating outsiders, the motorcycle gangs. Before this, he had been anti-materialistic. Now he was accumulating vehicles, guns, and money. It struck me that all this contradicted what Charlie had done and talked to me about before, Greg said, explaining that this was the beginning of his disenchantment and eventually break with Manson. The newly materialistic Manson came up with some wild money-making schemes. For example, someone suggested the girls in the family could earn $300 to $500 a week apiece working as topless dancers. Manson liked the idea. With 10 broads pulling in $3,000 a week and upward, he could buy jeeps, doom buggies, even machine guns, and he sent Bobby Beausoleil and Bill Vance to the Girard Agency on the Sunset Strip to negotiate the deal. There was only one problem. With all his powers, Manson was unable to transform molehills into mountains. With the exception of Sadie and a few others, Charlie's girls simply did not have impressive busts. For some reason, Manson seemed to attract only flat-chested girls. While at the Gresham Street house, Manson had told Watkins that the atrocious murders would occur that summer. It was almost summer now, and the blacks were showing no signs of rising up to fulfill their karma. One day in late May or early June of 1969, Manson took Watkins aside down near the old trailer at Spawn and confided, "The only thing Blackie knows is what Whitey has told him." He then added, "I'm going to have to show him how to do it." According to Watkins, "I got some weird pictures from that." A few days later, Watkins took off for Barker, fearful that if he stuck around, he would see those weird pictures materialize into reality. It was September of 1969 before Manson himself returned to Barker Ranch to find that Watkins and Poston had defecated. No, they didn't defecate. Defected. Though Manson, sorry, Poston had defected. Though Manson told Watkins about cutting Shorty into 9 pieces, he made no mention whatsoever of the Tate LaBianca murders. In discussing Helter Skelter and Watkins, however, Manson said without explanation, "I had to show Blackie how to do it." Hey, Albert and Stella. LAPD had interviewed Greg Jacobson in late November of 1969. When he attempted to tell them about Manson's far-out philosophy, one of the detectives replied, "Charlie's a madman. We're not interested in all that." The following month, 2 detectives who went to Shoshone and talked to Crockett and Poston, LAPD also contacted Watkins. All 3 were asked what they knew about the Tate LaBianca murders, and all 3 said they didn't know anything, which, in their minds, was true, none having previously made the connection between Manson and these murders. After the interview with Poston and Crockett, one of the detectives remarked, "Looks like we made a trip for nothing." Initially, I found it difficult to believe that one of the 4 even suspected that Manson might be behind the Tate LaBianca murders. There were, I discovered, several probable reasons for this. When Manson had told Jacobson how Helter Skelter would start, he had said nothing about writing words on blood. He had told this to both Watkins and Poston, even telling Poston about the word pigs, but there was no newspapers at Barker Ranch, and its location was such that there was no radio reception. Though they had heard about the murders on their infrequent supply trips into Independence and Shoshone, both stated that they haven't picked up many details. The main reason, however, was simply a fluke. Though the press did report that there was bloody writing at the LaBianca residence, LAPD had succeeded in keeping one fact secret, that 2 of the words were Helter Skelter. Had this been publicized, undoubtedly, Jacobson, Watkins, and Poston, and numerous others would have connected the LaBianca murders, and probably the Tate murders also, because of their proximity in time with Manson's insane plan. And it seems a safe assumption that at least one would have communicated his suspicions to the police. It was one of those odd happenstances for which no one was at fault, the repercussions of which no one could foresee, but it appears possibly that had this happened, the killers might have been apprehended days rather than months after the murders, and Donald, Shorty Shea, and possibly others might still be alive. Though I was now convinced we had the motive, other leads failed to pan out. None of the employees of the Standard Station in Simler or the Jack Frost store in Santa Monica could identify anyone in our family album. As for the LaBianca credit cards, it all appeared to be accounted for, while Suzanne Struthers was unable to determine if a brown purse was missing from her mother's personal effects. The problem was that Rosemary had several brown purses. By the time LAPD requested the Spawn Ranch phone records, most of the billings for May and July 1969 had been lost or destroyed. All the numbers for the other months, April to October 1969, were identified, and though we obtained some minor background information on the activities of the family, we were unable to find any link between the killers and the victims, nor did any appear on the phone records of the Tate and LaBianca residences. Exposure to rain and sunlight over a prolonged period of time breaks down human blood components. Many of the spots on the clothing the TV crew had found gave a positive benzodine reaction, indicating blood, but Granado was unable to determine whether it was animal or human. However, Granado did find human blood type B on the white t-shirt. Parent, Folger, and Frykowski were type B. And human blood, possibly type O, on the dark velour turtleneck, Tate and Sebring were type O. He did not test for subtypes. He also removed some human hair from the clothing, which he determined had belonged to a woman, and which did not match that of the 2 female victims. Sorry, I'm just keep getting messages. I just want to make sure there's okay. I called Captain Carpenter at Sybil Brand and requested a sample of Susan Atkins' hair. On February 17th, Deputy Sheriff Halen Tabe took Sharon to the jail beauty shop for a wash and set. Afterwards, she removed the hair from Susan's brush and comb. Later, sample Patricia Carmichael's hair was similarly obtained. Brunetto eliminated the Kremwinkle sample, but although he wasn't able to state positively that they were the same, he found the Atkins sample very, very similar to that taken from the clothing, concluding it was very likely the hair belonged to Susan Atkins. The points of similarity included color, diameter, length, as well as the medullary characteristics. Some white animal hairs were also found on the clothing. Winifred Chapman said they looked like the hair from Sharon's dog. Since the dog had died shortly after Sharon's death, no comparison could be made. I intended to introduce the hair into evidence anyway and let Mrs. Chapman state what she had told me. On February 11th, Kitty had given birth to a Bobby Bosley's child. Even before this, she was unwilling witness, and the little information I got from her came hard. Later, she would return to the family, leave it, go back. Unsure of what she might say on the stand, I eventually decided against calling her as a witness. I made the same decision in relation to a biker, Al Springer. Though for different reasons, most of the testimony would be repetitive of DeCarlos. Also, his most damning testimony, Manson's statement, we got 5 of them the other night, was inadmissible because of Aranda. I did interview Springer several times, and one remark Manson made to him, R.E., the murders, gave me a glimpse into Manson's possible defense strategy. In discussing the many criminal activities of the family, Manson had told Springer, no matter what happens, the girls will take the rap for it. I interviewed Danny numerous times. One session lasted 9 hours, obtaining considerable information that had come out in previous interviews. Each time I picked up a few more examples of Manson's denomination. Manson would tell the family when it was time to eat. He wouldn't permit anyone to be served until he was seated. During dinner, he would lecture on his philosophy. I asked Danny if anyone ever interrupted Manson while he was talking. He recalled that one time a couple of broads started talking. What happened? He threw a bowl of rice at them. Although DeCarlo was extremely reluctant to testify, Sergeant Gutierrez and I eventually persuaded him that it was in his own best interest to do so. I had less success with Dennis Wilson, singer and drummer for the Beach Boys. Though Wilson initially claimed to know nothing of importance, he finally agreed to level with me, but he refused to testify. It was obvious that Wilson was scared, and not without good reason. On December 4th, 1969, 3 days after LAPD announced they had broken the case, Wilson had received an anonymous death threat. It was, I learned, not the only such threat, and the others were not anonymous. Though denying any knowledge of the family's criminal activities, Wilson did supply some interesting background information. In the late spring of 1968, Wilson had twice picked up the same pair of female hitchhikers while driving through Malibu. You need the link again? Oh, shit, sorry. You booted yourself? The second time he took the girls home with him for Dennis, home was 14400 Sunset Boulevard, a residence formerly owned by humorist Will Rogers. The girls, Ella, Joe Bailey, and Patricia Carmichael, stayed a couple of hours, Dennis said, mostly talking about the guy named Charlie. Welcome back.
Hi, sorry. I think my dog hit a power cord underneath my desk. So the whole thing just went black. I was like, oh, oops. That's her spot. And as soon as she
exactly.
moved, it all went black.
Yeah, I'm surprised they would have done that like every time because they're always there. Wilson had a recording session with that night and didn't get home until 3 a.m. When he pulled into the driveway, a strange man stepped out of his back door. Wilson, frightened, asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" The man said, "Do I look like I'm going to hurt you, brother?" He then dropped to his knees and kissed Wilson's feet, obviously one of Charlie's favorite routines. When Manson ushered Wilson into his own home, he discovered he had about a dozen uninvited house guests, nearly all of them girls. Hey, Deb. They stayed for several months, during which time the group more than doubled in number. It was during Manson's Sunset Boulevard period that Charles Tex Watson, Brooks Poston, and Paul Watkins became associated with the family. The experience, Dennis later estimated, cost him about $100,000. Besides Manson's constantly hitting him for money, Clem demolished Wilson's uninsured $21,000 Mercedes-Benz by plowing it into a mountain on the approach to Spawn Ranch. The family appropriated Wilson's wardrobe and just about everything else in sight, and several times Wilson found it necessary to take the whole family to his Beverly Hills doctor for penicillin shots. It was probably the largest gonorrhea bill in history. Dennis admitted Wilson even gave Manson 9 or 10 of the Beach Boys gold records and paid to have Sadie's teeth fixed. Oh, it's a pretty good book. I got mine from Amazon for like $8. Or the audiobook that Mayor posted is on YouTube. The newly divorced Wilson obviously found something attractive about Manson's lifestyle, except for the expense, Dennis told me. I got along very well with Charlie and the girls. He and Charlie would sing and talk, Dennis said, while the girls cleaned house, cooked, and catered to their needs. Wilson said he liked the spontaneity of Charlie's music, but added that Charlie never had a musical bone in his body. Despite this, Dennis tried hard to sell Manson to others. He rented a recording studio in Santa Monica and had Manson recorded. Though I was very interested in hearing the tapes, Wilson claimed that he had destroyed them because the vibrations connected with them don't belong on this earth. Wilson also introduced Manson to a number of people in or on the fringes of the entertainment industry, including Melcher, Jacobson, and Altobelli. At one party, Charlie gave Dean Martin's daughter, Deanna, a ring and asked her to join the family. Deanna told me she kept the ring, which she later gave to her husband, but declined Manson's invitation. As did the other Beach Boys, none of whom shared Dennis' fondness for the scruffy little guru, as one described him. Wilson denied having any conflicts with Manson during this period. However, in August 1968, 3 weeks before his lease was to expire, Dennis moved in with Greg, leaving to his manager the task of evicting Charlie and his girls. From Sunset Boulevard, the family moved to Spahn Ranch. Although Wilson apparently avoided the group for a time, he did see Manson occasionally. Dennis told me that he didn't have any trouble with Charlie until August 1969. Dennis could not recall the exact date, but he did know it was after the Tate murders when Manson visited him, demanding $1,500 so he could go to the desert. When Wilson refused, Charlie told him, "Don't be surprised if you never see your kid again." Dennis had a 7-year-old son, and obviously this was one reason for his reluctance to testify. Manson also threatened Wilson himself, but Dennis did not learn of this until an interview I conducted with both Wilson and Jacobson. According to Jacobson, not long after Dennis refused Manson's request, Charlie handed Greg a .44 caliber bullet and told him, "Tell Dennis there are more where this came from." Knowing how the other threat had upset Dennis, Greg had mentioned it to him. The incidents had occurred in late August or early September of 1969. Jacobson was startled by the change in Manson. The electricity was almost pouring out of him. His hair was on end. His eyes were wild. The only thing I can compare it to is that he was just like an animal in a cage. It was possible there was still another threat, but this is strictly conjecture. In going through the Spahn Ranch phone bills, I found that on September 22nd, 1969, someone called Dennis Wilson's private number from a payphone at Spahn, and that the following day, Wilson had the phone disconnected. Looking back on this involvement with the family, Dennis told me, "I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I got off only losing my money." From rock star to motorcycle rider to ex-call girl, the witnesses in this case all had one thing in common. They were afraid for their lives. They needed only to pick up a newspaper or turn on TV to see that many of the family members were still roaming the streets, that Steve Grogan, a.k.a. Clem, was out on bail, while the Inyo County grand theft charges against Bruce Davis had been dismissed for lack of evidence. Oh, there, now he's mentioned. Neither Grogan, Davis, nor any of the others suspected of beheading. Shorty Shia had been charged with that murder, there being yet no physical proof that Shia was dead. Perhaps in her cell at Sybil Brand, Susan Atkins recalled the lyrics of Beatles' song "Sexy Sadie." "Sexy Sadie, what have you done? You made a fool of everyone. Sexy Sadie, you broke the rules. You laid it out for all to see. Sexy Sadie, you'll get yours yet, however big you think you are." Or perhaps it was simply that the numerous messages Manson was sending by other family members were getting to her. Susan called in Calbarello and told him that under no circumstances would she testify at the trial, and she demanded to see Charlie. Calbarello told Aaron and me that if it looked as if we lost our star witness, we contacted Gary Fleshman, Linda Kasabian's attorney, and told them that we were ready to talk. Yeah, that's Artsy in the live, Al. Yep. From the start, Fleshman decided to the welfare of his client had wanted nothing less than the complete immunity for Linda Kasabian. Not until after I talked to Linda myself did I learn that she had been willing to talk to us.
Thank you, Al.
What's right?
I just saw that comment. I was like, "Oh boy, thank you."
Yeah. I like her. She's awesome. I'm glad she escaped KJ and her cult. After I talked to Linda myself, did I learn that she had been willing to talk to us, immunity or not, and that only Fleshman had kept her from doing so. I also learned that she had decided to return to California voluntarily against the advice of Fleshman, who had wanted her to fight extradition. After a number of discussions, our office agreed to petition the Superior Court for immunity. After she had testified, in return, it was agreed, 1, that Linda Kasabian would give us a full and complete statement of her involvement in the Tate LaBianca murders. 2, that Linda Kasabian would testify truthfully at all trial proceedings against all defendants. And 3, that in the event Linda Kasabian did not testify truthfully, or that she refused to testify for whatever reason, she would be prosecuted fully, but that any statement that she gave the prosecution would not be used against her. The agreement was signed by Younger, Levy, Bush, Stovitz, and myself on February 26, 1970. Wait, you're a girl? Yeah, I was a girl. After a number of discussions, our office agreed to petition the Superior Court for immunity after she had testified. In return, it was I just read that. Wow. Okay, 2 days after I interviewed Linda Kasabian, it was the first time she had discussed the Tate LaBianca murders with anyone connected with law enforcement. As noted, given a choice between Susan and Linda, I preferred Linda. Sight unseen, she hadn't killed anyone and therefore would be far more acceptable to a jury than the bloodthirsty Susan. Now talking to her in Captain Carpenter's office at Civil Brand, I was especially pleased that things had turned out as they had. Small with long light brown hair, Linda bore a distinct resemblance to the actress Mia Farrow. As I got to know her, I found Linda a quiet girl. Docile, easily led, yet she communicated in an inner sureness, almost a fatality, that made her seem much older than her 20 years. The product of a broken home, she herself had had 2 unsuccessful marriages, the last of which to a young hippie, Robert Kasabian, had broken up just before she went to Spawn Ranch. She had 1 child, a girl named Tanya, aged 2, and was now 8 months pregnant with another, conceived, she thought, the last time she and her husband were together. She had remained with the family less than a month and a half. I was like a little blind girl in the forest, and I took the first path that came to me. Only now, talking about what had happened, did she feel she was emerging from darkness, she said. On her own since 16, Linda had wandered from the East Coast to the West looking for God. In her quest, she had lived in communes and crash pads, taken drugs, had sex with almost anyone who showed an interest. She described all this with a candor at times shocked me, yet which I knew would be a plus on the witness stand. From the first interview, I believed her story, and I felt that a jury would also. There were no pauses in her answers, no evasions, no attempts to make herself appear something she was not. She was brutally frank. When a witness takes a stand and tells the truth, even though it is injurious to his own mind, in his own image, he can't be impeached. I knew that if Linda testified truthfully about those 2 nights of murder, it would be immaterial whether she had been promiscuous, taken dope, or stolen. The question was, could the defense attack her credibility regarding the events of those 2 nights? And I knew the answer from our very first interview. They wouldn't be able to do so because she was so obviously telling the truth. I talked to her from 1 to 4:30 p.m. on the 28th. It was the first of many long interviews, a half dozen of them lasting 6 to 9 hours, all of which took place at Civil Brand, her attorney usually the only other person present. At the end of each interview, I'd tell her that if back in her cell anything occurred to her which we hadn't discussed, to jot it down. A number of these notes became letters to me, running into a dozen or more pages, all of which, together with my interview notes, became available to the defense under discovery. The more times a witness tells a story, the more opportunities there are for discrepancies and contradictions, which the opposing side can then use for impeachment purposes, while some attorneys try to hold interviews and pretrial statements to a minimum. As to avoid such problems, my attitude is the exact opposite. If a witness is lying, I want to know it before he ever takes a stand. In the more than 50 hours I spent interviewing Linda Kasabian, I found her, like any witness, unsure in some details, confused about others, but never once did I catch her in even attempting to lie. Moreover, when she was unsure, she'd admit it. Although she added many details, Linda Kasabian's story of those 2 nights was basically the same as Susan Atkins. There were only a few surprises, but they were big ones. Prior to my talking to Linda, we had assumed that she had probably witnessed only 1 murder and the shooting of Stephen Parent. We now learned that she had also seen Katie chasing Abigail Folger across the lawn with an unpraised knife and Tex stabbing Wojciech to death. She also told me that the night the LaBiancas were killed, Manson had attempted to commit 3 other murders. Sorry, I keep getting messages. Oh, now I'm on part 5, though.
Part 5, you said?
Yeah, now I'm on part 5.
So yeah, the description in that book about Helter Skelter, I was kind of, as I was listening to it, I was like, that's exactly what I was saying last week. I should have just waited a week to explain what the Helter Skelter was, but
Oh, it's insane.
it
It's
is not.
insane. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. It's so insane that it's like, it's not reality. I've just never heard of anything like that. That's why I keep saying this is really fucked up.
It's amazed at how, cults, like actual cults, like how
Yeah.
loud they can get.
Yeah. This definitely, I would agree, is a cult. Absolutely. Am I originally from down south? Huh? It's weird. Every time I'm live, I always get messages just bloop, 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 bloop. Am I from down south? No. Do I sound like I'm from down south? All right.
No.
No.
I'm like, no.
Nope. Maybe it's like my accent or whatever. I don't know. Oh, so Dana thought that Al was a guy. Hey, I did at first too, but then I spoke to her. Yeah, exactly. Got to be safe on the internet. Yeah, Dana B, he's got like a huge mouth, but she's so loving. But that's just who she is. Welcome, honey. Now I can get more comfortable. I'm totally not a man or a creep. And then Dana even says, I thought you were a kind man, if that helps. Yeah, me too. She's got a big mouth like me, but we mean well.
Random fact about this icon photo. I know I've said it before in other lives, but I don't think Al was.
No, she just came in last night.
This is an old photo. I'm not going to admit at how old, but it's a fairly old photo. But it is taken at Spawn Ranch while my mother was being interviewed. So this was a little selfie. The icon photo of me in the picture.
Oh.
I might be able to. And
so your mom was being interviewed and you were at Spawn Ranch and then you got your picture taken and this is it?
Yeah, but yeah, very much cropped. I wish, I don't know if I have an uncropped version readily available where you can see the background more.
I missed you there.
But yeah, I'm at Spawn Ranch. I'm above the river and you can barely see it, but there's like a kind of a weird like rock formation thing in the background if you look at Spawn Ranch photos, and that's the rocks that you can almost see. Not really behind me.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to see if there's a less cropped version.
Yeah, Dana said that's a cool background. We live in igloos, Mare says. Well, that's what she just says, Nikki's south of the Arctic Circle. It's beautiful, though. I love to take beauty out of something that isn't his. Yeah, actually. You thought we had Eskimos? Oh my God. We're not in what? Where the hell are Eskimos? Antarctica? We're not there. We're in Canada. Oh my God. We literally have like 6 months of winter and, well, more like 7. The rest is like spring, summer, fall. Yes, it's okay if you don't know. I think it's funny.
Well, it's too much.
Oh, you can't find it? Just let me know if you want to show it when you do find it, and I'll just keep reading.
Sure, go for it.
All right. Alaska, not Antarctica. Wait, isn't there Antarctica like that too? Or, no, just Alaska? Okay. We're close to Alaska, though. Like, really close. Now you see why I want to visit and you live in history housing. Yes, my house is haunted and this place is old. I think you'd love it here. We'd have a blast. All right, okay, so part 5, it says, don't you know who you're crucifying? And then there's okay. Then it says, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets and shall shew great signs and wonders insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Matthew 24:24. It is cold as fuck. Just before we got busted in the desert, there were 12 of us apostles and Charlie, family member Ruth Ann Morehouse. I may have implied on several occasions to several different people that I may have been Jesus Christ, but I haven't decided yet what I am or who I am. Charles Manson. All right, March 1970. On March 3rd, accompanied by attorney Gary Fleischman and some dozen LAPD and LASO officers, I took Linda Kasabian at a civil brand. For Linda, it was a trip back in time to an almost unbelievable night nearly 7 months ago. Our first stop was on 10050 Cielo Drive. You're in Montana. I want to go and definitely see the States. Yeah, my son is obsessed with military and like war. I don't know. Maybe he's like a reincarnation or something. I don't know. My grandfather was in it. He's just obsessed. You're a medium? That's someone who can talk to spirits, right? Woohoo, we need to talk, girl.
Interesting thing that when you brought up Montana, it just gave me kind of like a flashback with me and my mom when we were kids.
Yeah.
When I was a kid. And we were doing a road trip that was up, from Colorado Springs, and then we came through Montana, and then we're heading over to the Pacific area, just that whole round. And so we were passing through Montana, and they have, with Custer's Last Stand, and the whole historical thing where you can go and you stop at, it's like a self-guided tour, and you listen to part of a tape at like step 1, step 2, and it's right in Montana. What was really weird is that in the tapes, when they're describing that historical situation, they're using the phrase Helter Skelter. And both me and my mom were stopping, looking at each other, going, what? Just to describe. Yeah. It became such a well-known phrase just for anything super chaotic and crazy, that when they're, so in some of these battles, that I don't know if it's still like that, but yeah, it's just weird how the phrase Helter Skelter has been just ingrained basically into.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really, if you're involved in like a case like this, which I hope nobody ever is, you can't really escape it. I mean, I can't watch, and I love watching like true crime stuff, and I start,
yeah.
If I go to watch something, say like Criminal Minds, I'll be like, oh, and there's Manson's face. Like, oh, and like
it always comes back like to him.
Well, in the in like the intro, they show a bunch of like famous people, and it's just kind of like a weird thing you can't escape from, even if you're like watching something completely unrelated.
Yeah, that was weird.
I didn't mean to interrupt. If you're
no, I told you before. Please interrupt me if you have if something pops up. Yes, just scream at me and just tell me you have something to say. Seriously.
Okay.
I love hearing your stories. Dana, she says there's the rainbow shitter. I laughed when Brittany was talking about that, when she changed her little emoji to that.
To live in Pueblo, Colorado. For a short time, I did live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Oh, that place was beautiful. If you guys ever get a chance to go there, look up something called Garden of the Gods, and it's got the arches and the red dirt, and it's so many beautiful places around this country.
All right, I'll keep going.
Okay.
In late June of 1969, Bob Kasabian had called Linda at her mother's home in New Hampshire, suggesting a reconciliation. Kasabian was living in a trailer at Topanga Canyon with a friend, Charles Melton. Melton, who had recently inherited $20,000, had already given away more than half, planned to drive to the tip of South America, buy a boat, and sail around the world. He'd invited Linda and Bob, as well as another couple, to come along. Linda, together with her daughter, Tanya, flew to Los Angeles, but the reconciliation was unsuccessful. On July 4th, 1969, Catherine Scher, aka Gypsy, visited Melton, whom she had met through Paul Watkins. Gypsy told Linda about this beautiful man named Charlie, the family, and how life at Spawn was all love, beauty, and peace. To Linda, it was as if the answer to an unspoken prayer. My interviews with Linda Kasabian were not taped. Exact quotations are from either my interview notes, her trial testimony, or her narrative letters to me. That same day, Linda and Tanya moved to Spawn. Though she didn't meet Manson that day, she did meet most of the other members of the family, and they talked of little else. It was obvious to her that they worshipped him. That night, Tex took her into a small room and told her far out things. Nothing was wrong, all was right, things I couldn't comprehend. Then he made love to me, and a strange experience took place. It was like being possessed. When it was over, Linda's fingers were clenched so tightly they hurt. Gypsy later told her that when she had experienced was the death of the ego. What? After making love, Linda and Tex talked, Linda mentioning Melton's inheritance. Tex told her that she should steal the money. According to Linda, she told him she couldn't do that. Melton was a friend, a brother. Tex told her that she could do no wrong, that everything should be shared. The next day, Linda went back to the trailer and stole the $5,000 which she gave to either Leslie or Tex. She had already turned over all her possessions to the family, the girls having told her, what's yours is ours and what's ours is yours. Linda met Charles Manson for the first time that night. After all she had heard about him, she felt as if she were on trial. He asked why she had come to the ranch. She replied that her husband had rejected her. Manson reached out and felt her legs. He seemed pleased with them, Linda recalled. Then he told her she could stay. Before making love to her, he told her that she had a father hang-up. Linda was startled by his perception because she disliked her stepfather. She felt that Manson could see inside her. Linda Kasabian became... I just want to mention that you were right about the movie Helter Skelter, because that is what he says to her in the movie. That
you watched it?
Yeah, that she had issues with her father. I'm not sure if it was, I can't remember if he said stepfather or not, but it was a father figure. He had said that to her, and it was in the movie. You're right, that movie does reflect this book, like, really good.
Yeah, there's like direct quotes and
yeah. Linda Kasabian became a part of the family, went on garbage runs, had sex with the men, creepy crawled a house, and listened as Manson lectured about the Beatles, Helter Skelter, and the bottomless pit. Charlie had told her that the black man was together, but the white man was not. However, he knew a way to unite the white man, he said. It was the only way, but he didn't tell her what it was. Nor did she ask. From the first time they met, Manson had stressed, never ask why. When something he said or did puzzled her, she was reminded of this. Also, of another of his favorite axioms, no sense makes sense. The whole family, Linda said, was paranoid of Blackie. On weekends, George Spawn did a brisk business renting horses. Occasionally, among the riders, there would be blacks. Manson maintained they were Panthers, spying on the family. He always hid the young girls when they were around. At night, everyone was required to wear dark clothing so as to be less conspicuous, and eventually Manson posted armed guards who roamed the ranch until dawn. Gradually, Linda became convinced that Charles Manson was Jesus Christ. He never told her this directly, but one day he asked her, "Don't you know who I am?" She replied, "No. Am I supposed to know something?" He didn't answer, just smiled and playfully twirled her around. Yet, she had doubts. The mothers were not allowed to care for their own children. They separated her and Tanya, Linda explained, because they wanted to kill the ego that I put in her. And at first, I agreed to it. I thought that it was a good idea that she should become her own person. Also, several times she saw Manson strike Diane Lake. Linda had been in many communes, from the American Psychedelic Circus in Boston to Sons of the Earth Mother near Tahoe, but she'd never seen anything like this. And forgetting Charlie's commandment, she did ask Gypsy why. Gypsy told her that Diane really wanted to be beaten, and Charlie was only obliging her. That was in the movie, too. Actually, at the same part.
Yeah, I know what part you're talking about.
Yeah, because it was right after when Manson had said, they were all sitting by the fire. Manson says, you have issues with your father. And then, yeah, that girl got punched in the face and smiled. It was like, okay. Overriding all doubts was one fact. She had fallen in love with Charles Manson. Linda had been at Spawn Ranch a little over a month when, on the afternoon of Friday, August 8th, 1969, Manson told the family, "Now is the time for Helter Skelter." Had Linda stopped there, supplying that single piece of testimony and nothing else, she would have been a valuable witness, but Linda had a great deal more to tell. That Friday evening, about an hour after dinner, 7 or 8 members of the family were standing on the boardwalk in front of the saloon when Manson came out and, calling Tex, Sadie, Katie, and Linda aside, told each to get a change of clothing and a knife. He also told Linda to get her driver's license. Linda, I later learned, who was the only family member with a valid license, excepting Mary Bruner, who had been arrested that afternoon. This was, I concluded, probably one of the reasons why Manson had picked Linda to accompany the others, each of whom, unlike her, had been with him a year or more. Linda couldn't find her own knife. Sadie had it, but she obtained one from Larry Jones. The handle was broken and had been replaced with tape. Brenda found Linda's license and gave it to her just about the time Manson told Linda, "Go with Tex and do whatever Tex tells you to do." According to Linda, in addition to Tex, Katie, and herself, Brenda McCann and Larry Jones were present when Manson gave this order. Brenda remained hardcore and refused to cooperate with law enforcement. Larry Jones, Lawrence Bailey, was a scrawny little ranch hand who was always trying to integrate himself with the family. However, Jones had what Manson considered Negroid features, and according to Linda, Charlie was always putting him down, referring to him as the drippings from a white man's dick. Wow. Since Jones had been present when Manson instructed the Tate killers, he could be a very important witness, providing independent cooperation of Linda Kasabian's testimony, and I asked LAPD to bring him in. They were unable to find him. I then gave the assignment to the DA's Bureau of Investigation, who located Jones, but he wouldn't give us the time of day. He's portrayed as Jesus in many movies, and I didn't realize the link until now. Yeah. Ooh, tacos. Yeah, I gotta use the phone booth here in a minute too. Linda said that after Manson instructed her to go with Tex, the group piled into ranch hand Johnny Sport's old Ford. I asked Linda what each was wearing. She wasn't absolutely sure, but she thought Sadie had a dark blue t-shirt and dungarees, that Katie attire was similar, and that Tex was wearing black velour turtleneck and dark dungarees. Oh no, what are you doing? What the hell? Can you still hear me?
What?
Oh, you can still hear me, right? No, this just video uploaded. It's uploading on me and I wasn't even done it. Okay. Oh. When shown the clothing the TV crew had found, Linda identified 6 of the 7 items, failing to recall only the white t-shirt. The logical assumption was that she hadn't seen it because it had been worn under one of the other shirts. What about footwear, I asked. The girls, she believed, were all barefoot, she thought, but couldn't be sure. That Tex had on cowboy boots. A number of bloody footprints had been found at the Tate murder scene. After eliminating those belonging to LAPD personnel, 2 remained unidentified, a boot heel print and the print of a barefoot, thus supporting Linda's recollections. Again, as with Susan Atkins, I badly needed independent corroboration of Linda's testimony. I then asked Linda the same question I'd asked Susan. Had any of them been on drugs that night, and received the same reply, no. As Tex started to drive off, Manson said, "Hold it or wait." He then leaned in the window or on the passenger side and said, "Leave a sign, you know girls what to write, something witchy." Oh, I want to get rid of this. Sorry, just 1 second. I don't know why this is doing this now. Tex handed Linda 3 knives and a gun, telling her to wrap them in a rag and put them on the floor. If stopped by the police, Tex said she was to throw them out. Linda positively identified the .22 caliber Longhorn revolver. Only at this time, she said, the grip had been intact and the barrel unbent. According to Linda, Tex did not tell them their destination or what they were going to do. However, she presumed they were going on another creepy-crawly mission. Tex did say that he had been to the house and knew the layout. As we drove up Cielo Drive in the sheriff's van, Linda showed me where Tex had turned in front of the gate at 10050, then parked next to the telephone pole. He had then taken a pair of large red-handled wire cutters from the back seat and shimmied up the pole. From where she was sitting, Linda couldn't see Tex cutting the wires, but she saw and heard the wires fall. When shown the wire cutters found at Barker Ranch, Linda said they looked like the pair used that night. Since the wire cutters had been found in Manson's personal dune buggy, her identification linked them not just to the family but to Manson himself. I was especially pleased at this evidence, unaware that link would soon be severed, literally. When Tex returned to the car, they drove to a spot near the bottom of the hill and parked. The four then took the weapons and extra clothing and stealthily walked back up to the gate. Tex also had some white rope, which was draped over his shoulder. As Linda and I got out of the sheriff's van and approached the gate at 10050 Cielo Drive, two large dogs belonging to Rudy Altobelli began barking fiercely at us. Linda suddenly began sobbing. "What are you crying about, Linda?" I asked. Pointing to the dogs, she said, "Why couldn't they have been there that night?" Linda pointed to the spot to the right of the gate, where they had climbed the embankment and scaled the fence. As they were descending the other side, a pair of headlights suddenly appeared in the driveway. "Lay down and be quiet," Tex ordered. He then jumped up and ran to the automobile, which had stopped near the gate control mechanism. Linda heard a man's voice saying, "Please don't hurt me. I won't say anything." She then saw Tex put the gun in the open window on the driver's side and heard 4 shots. She also saw the man slump over in the seat. Something here puzzled me and still does. In addition to the gunshot wounds, Steve Parent had a defensive stab wound that ran from the palm across the wrist of his left hand. It severed the tendons as well as the band of his wristwatch. Obviously, Parent had raised his left hand, the hand closest to the open window, in an effort to protect himself, the force of the blow being sufficient to hurl his watch into the back seat. It therefore appeared that Tex must have approached the car with a knife in one hand, a gun in the other, and that he first slashed at Parent, then shot him, yet neither Susan nor Linda saw Tex with a knife at this point, nor did either recall the stabbing. Linda saw Tex reach in the car and turn off the lights and ignition. He then pushed the car some distance up the driveway, telling the others to follow him. "The shooting put her in a state of shock," Linda said. "My mind went blank. I was aware of my body walking toward the house. As we went up the driveway, I asked Linda which lights had been on that night. She pointed to the bug light on the side of the garage, also the Christmas tree lights along the fence. Little details, yet important of the defense, contended Linda with fabricating her story. From what she had read in the paper, since neither these nor numerous other details I collected had appeared in the press. As we approached the residence, I noticed that Linda was shivering and her arms were covered with goosebumps. Though it wasn't cold that day, Linda was now 9 months pregnant, and I slipped off my coat and put it over her shoulders. The shivering continued, however, all the time we were on the premises, and often, in pointing out something, she would begin crying. There was no reason in my mind that the tears were real, that she was deeply affected by what had happened in this place. I couldn't help contrasting Linda with Susan. When they reached the house, Linda said, Tex sent her around the back to look for an unlocked window or door. She reported that everything was locked, though she hadn't actually checked. This explained why they ignored the open nursery window. Tex then slid a screen on one of the front windows with a knife. Though the actual screen had since been replaced, Linda pointed to the correct window. She also said that slash was horizontal, as it had been. Tex then told her to go back and wait by the car in the driveway. Linda did as she was told. Perhaps a minute or two later, Katie came back and asked Linda for a knife. This was a knife with the taped handle, and told her, "Listen for sounds." A few minutes later, Linda heard horrifying sounds coming from the house. A man moaned, "No, no, no," then screamed very loudly. The scream, which seemed continuous, was punctuated with other voices, male and female, begging and pleading for their lives. Wanting to stop what was happening, Linda said, I started running toward the house. As she reached the walk, there was a man, a tall man, just coming out of the door, staggering, and he had blood all over his face, and he was standing by a post, and we looked into each other's eyes for a minute. I don't know however long, and I said, "Oh God, I'm so sorry," and then he just fell into the bushes. And then Sadie came running up out of the house, and I said, "Sadie, please make it stop. People are coming," which wasn't true, but I wanted to make it stop, and she said it's too late. Complaining that she had lost her knife, Susan ran back into the house. Linda remained outside. Susan had earlier told me and the grand jury that Linda had never entered the residence.
This whole situation right here is almost word for word quoted in the movie as well.
Yes, I was going to say that too, but I didn't want to keep saying it. But yeah, you're right, because she did say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Yeah. Linda saw a dark-haired woman in a white gown running across the lawn. Katie was pursuing her, an upraised knife in her hand. Somehow, the tall man managed to stagger from the bushes next to the porch onto the lawn. Weary had again fallen. Linda saw Tex hit him over the head with something. It could have been a gun, but she wasn't sure. Then stab him repeatedly in the back as he lay on the ground. Shown a number of photographs, Linda identified the tall man as Wojciech, the dark-haired woman as Abigail Folger. Examining the autopsy report on Frykowski, I found that 5 of his 51 stab wounds were to the back. Linda turned and ran down the driveway for what seemed like maybe 5 minutes. She hid in the bushes near the gate, then climbed the fence again and ran down Cielo to where they had parked the Ford. Why didn't you run to one of the houses and call the police? I asked Linda. My first thought was get help. Then my little girl entered my mind. She was back at the ranch with Charlie. I didn't know where I was or how to get out of there. She got in the car and had started the engine when all of a sudden they were there. They were covered with blood. They looked like zombies. Tex yelled at me to turn off the car and get over. He had a terrible look in his eyes. Linda slid over to the passenger side. Then he started in on Sadie and yelled at her for losing her knife. Tex had put the .22 revolver on the seat between them. Linda noticed that the grip was broken, and Tex told her it had smashed when he hit the man over the head. Sadie and Katie complained Sadie and Katie complained that their heads hurt because the people had pulled their hair while they were fighting with them. That was in the movie too. Sadie also said the big man had hit her over the head with that. It hit her over the head, and that the girl, it was unclear whether she meant Sharon or Abigail, had cried for her mother. Katie also complained that her hand hurt, explaining that when she stabbed, she kept hitting bones, and since the knife didn't have a regular handle, it bruised her hand. That was also in the movie. Trigger warning, guys. This is, it's not very nice. How do you feel, Linda? In a state of shock. What about the others? How did they act? As if it was all a game. Tex, Sadie, and Katie changed their clothing while the car was in motion, Linda holding the wheel for Tex. Linda herself didn't change since there was no blood on her. Tex told him he wanted to find a place to hose the blood off, and then he turned off Benedict Cannon onto a short street not far from the Tate residence. Linda's account of the hosing incident paralleled Susan Atkins and Rudolph Weber's. Weber's house was located 1.8 miles from the Tate residence. From there, Tex returned onto Benedict Canyon again and drove along through a dark, hilly country area. He stopped the car on a dirt shoulder of the road, and Tex, Sadie, and Katie gave Linda their bloody clothing, which, on Tex's instructions, she rolled up in one bundle and threw down the slope. Since it was dark, she couldn't see where it landed. After driving off, Tex told Linda to wipe the knives, clean her fingerprints, then throw them out the window. She did, the first knife hitting a bush at the side of the road, the second, which she tossed out a few seconds later, striking the curb and bouncing back onto the road. Looking back, she saw it lying there. Linda believes she threw the gun out a few minutes later, but she wasn't sure. It was possible that Tex did it. Thanks, Brittany. After driving for a minute, they stopped at a gas station. Linda was unable to recall the street, where Katie and Sadie took turns going into the restroom to wash the rest of the blood off their bodies. Then they drove back to Spawn Ranch. Linda did not have a watch, but guessed it must have been about 2 a.m. Charles Manson was standing on the boardwalk in the same spot where he had been when they drove off. Sadie said she saw some blood on the outside of the car, and Manson had the girls get rags and sponges and wash the car inside and out. He then told them to go to the bunkhouse. Brenda and Clem were already there. Manson asked Tex how it had gone. Tex told him that there was a lot of panic, that it was really messy, and that there was bodies lying all over the place, but that everyone was dead. Manson asked the four, "Do you have any remorse?" All shook their heads no. Hey, Tina. Oh, I know. I hate when I'm late, too. Linda did feel remorse, she told me, but she didn't admit it to Charlie because I was afraid for my life. I could see in his eyes, he knew how I felt, and it was against his way. Manson told him, go to bed and say nothing to the others. Linda slept most of the day. It was almost sundown when Sadie told her to go into the trailer, that the TV news was coming on. Although Linda could not recall seeing Tex, she remembered Katie, Sadie, Barbara Hoyt, and Clem being there. Now, Barbara Hoyt is Artsy's mom.
Yep, my mom was there.
Oh, yeah. It was the big news. For the first time, Linda heard the names of the victims. She also learned that one, Sharon Tate, had been pregnant. Only a few days earlier, Linda had learned that she herself was pregnant. As we were watching the news, Linda said, in my head, I kept saying, why would they do such a thing? Okay, I need to use the phone booth real quick. Just trying to think of a song or something I can put on. There.
You're not going to put on the Beatles or something, are you?
No. No. There. Is that too loud?
No, that's fine.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I should keep photos ready and stuff to show you guys during moments like this. I did find the pre-chopped or cropped version of my icon photo that shows the hills in the back.
All right, I am back. You want to know more about my house? I can tell you everything. Actually, remind me, Artsy, because we're on Discord together too. So just scream at me or just put, I don't know,
Scream at
ghost.
you what?
For a better ghost or something. I need to get on my I need to get EVPs going because I always get them. They're creepy as hell. Especially like the one I have where it's like, what is she doing? It's they always whisper, always. And I've been getting them calling my name again. I'm alone. My son has been gone since Wednesday. And all of a sudden, yeah, I'm hearing, Mom, I know it's not my kid. He's in Newfoundland. He's not coming back till Monday. So it's like, yeah. And then last night, something shook my bed and growled at me, but I was watching TV. So I don't know if I fell asleep or not. I know I felt my bed move. It scared the shit out of me. My heart went like, it stopped beating and then also went boom, 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 boom. And I had anxiety like crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a kid again. Shit.
I did send you a couple photos over Twitter.
Okay. Want me to show them now? So I can do that.
Sure, it's just my face. But
oh, we love your pretty face.
Well, trigger warning. This is my face after I've been walking around in the freaking stick and trying to. Okay, one thing about Spawn Ranch, there's like no buildings there right now. What they do have a lot of is spiders. So I spent most of the day going, ew, ew, ew.
Yeah, just like me. Oh, I wouldn't even go. I'd be like, wah, scream at ass off. Hey, Teresa. I know, right? When I was younger, ghosts used to really scare me. But now that I've been here and I'm older, I'm not as scared. But something fucked with me last night, and it did scare me really bad. Mare's yelling at me. Get the heck out of there. How many times do I have to tell you? Where am I going to go? Wait, can I move in? I'll still be in Canada. All right, I'm going to go see what Artsy sent me, and then I'll show those for you guys.
One, I did walk away with a memento from there that I will kind of confirm and deny because I'm not a thief. But let me see if I can find it too. I'll see if I can grab it. Give me 1 sec.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep reading in a minute. I'm just going to show you those photos. I got a message, so I'm just going to answer that back because it's for a live that I'm going to do. This one will be fun because me and this person are just going to talk about everything and anything, shoot the shit. All right. Where are you, Miss Artsy? Okay. Oh, sweet. Wait, I think he's... Okay, when's the date on this? Oh, yeah, it's today. Okay. Share my screen. I would. If you have a big enough house, Mare, honestly, I probably would. All right, there's Artsy right there. I just want to make sure you guys can see this one too. All right, so that would be, I'll have to get Artsy to explain these.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. So I was just
Okay.
showing those so you can see. This is Spawn Ranch. This is the movie ranch, and it's just I just kind of pulled these so you can kind of see like the rock formations behind that versus like
Yeah.
behind.
Oh yeah, guys, sign this if you haven't already, okay? I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, no parole for Manson family. I forgot about that. Al says that she cannot get over these pictures, literally. So back there is so what are they? A mountain sort of, or like rock formations? Where'd you go? Artsy? Where the hell did she go? Yeah, there's Artsy Nurse's channel if you guys want to join. It she paints and it's beautiful. She does a really good job. She paints flowers and stuff like that. Artsy, where are you? Okay, you did drop off. I figured. Let me get you back in here. There you go. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was supposed to have been filmed there, but it doesn't look like it. No way. Teresa, maybe she has McDonald's Wi-Fi. Yeah, like mine. Yeah, Deb says you look like your mom. Wherever you went, woman. I said the same thing. Where the hell did she go? I'm just going to continue reading until she comes back then, because I want her to explain these. Yeah, I'll just keep reading. Okay. After Linda and I left the Tate residence, I asked her I asked her to show us the route they had taken. She found the dirt shoulder where they had pulled off to dispose of the clothing, but was unable to find the street where Tex had turned off Benedict Canyon. So I had the sheriff's deputy who was driving take us directly to Portola. Once on the street, Linda immediately identified 9870, pointing to the hose in the front. Oh, maybe she got a phone call? Yeah, true. Okay, I'll just keep reading until she comes back. Pointing to the hose in the front, number 870 was Rudolph Weber's house. She also pointed to the spot where they had parked the car. It was the same spot Weber had indicated. Neither his address nor even the fact that he had been located had appeared in the press. We were back on Benedict looking for the area where Linda had thrown out knives when one of the deputies said, "We got company." I said, "Eh?" Oh my. Of course I did. And yeah, I don't even notice it. I say yeah a lot too. Looking at the window, we saw we were being followed by a Channel 2 TV unit. Its presence in the area may have been a coincidence, but I doubted it. More likely, someone at the jail or in the courts had alerted the press that we were taking Linda out. At this time, only a few people knew that Linda Kasabian would be a witness for the prosecution. I'd hoped to keep this a secret as long as possible. I'd also hoped to take Linda to the La Bianca residence and several other sites, but now that would have to wait. Telling Linda to turn her head away so she wouldn't be recognized, I asked the driver to hightail it back to Silverbrand. Once on the freeway, we tried to outrun the TV unit, but without success. They filmed us all the way. It was like a Max Sennett comedy, only with the press in pursuit of fuzz. After Linda was back in jail, I asked Sergeant McGann to get some cadets from the police academy or a troop of Boy Scouts and conduct a search for the knives. From Linda's testimony, we knew that they had probably been thrown out of the car somewhere between the clothing site and the hill where young Stephen Weiss had found the gun, an area of less than 2 miles. We also knew that since Linda had looked back and seen one of the knives lying on the road, there must have been some illumination nearby, which could be another clue. The following day, March 4th, Gypsy made another visit to Fleshman's office. She told him, in the presence of his law partner, Ronald Goldman, if Linda testifies, 30 people are going to do something about it. I'd already checked out the security at Sybil Brand. Until her baby was born, Linda was being kept in an isolation cell off the infirmary. She had no contact with other inmates. Deputies brought her meals. After the baby was born, however, she would be reassigned to one of the open dormitories where she might be threatened, even killed, by Sadie, Katie, or Leslie. I made a note to talk to Captain Carpenter to see if other arrangements could be made. Attorney Richard Calbarello had been able to postpone the inevitable, but he couldn't prevent it. The meeting between Susan Atkins and Charles Manson took place in the Los Angeles County Jail on March 5th. Cabarello, who was present, would later testify. One of the first things they wanted to know was whether either one had gotten to see Linda Kasabian yet. Neither having done so, it was decided both should keep trying. Manson asked Susan, "Are you afraid of the gas chamber?" Susan grinned and replied that she wasn't. With that, Cabarello must have realized that he had lost her. Susan and Charlie talked for an hour or so more, but Cabarello hadn't the foggiest idea of what they said. At some point in the conversation, they began to talk in sort of a double talk or pig Latin, and when they reached that point, they lost me. However, the looks they exchanged said it all. It was like a joyous homecoming. Sadie Mae Glutz had returned to the irresistible Charles Manson. She fired Cabarello the next day. On March 6th, Manson appeared in court and argued a number of novel motions. One asked that the deputy district attorneys in charge of the trial be incarcerated for a period of time under the same circumstances that I have been subject to. Another requested that he be free to travel to any place I should deem fit in preparing my defense. There were more. Judge Keene declared himself appalled at Manson's outlandish requests. Queen then said he had reviewed the entire file on the case, from his nonsensical motions to his numerous violations of the gag order. He had also discussed Manson's conduct with Judge Lucas and Dell, before whom Manson had also appeared, concluding that it had become abundantly clear to me that you are incapable of acting as your own attorney. Infuriated, Manson shouted, "It's not me that's on trial here as much as this court is on trial." He also told Judge, "Go wash your hands, they're dirty." The court said, "Mr. Manson, your status at this time of acting as your own attorney is now vacated." What's going on? Oh, no, not you, Al. Deb's saying that Manson wanted to play himself in the movie to make it more realistic. And then that's when he said the KJ much sorry, but not sorry, Deb Morgan. Oh, wait, you said that. Yeah, sorry, Deb Morgan. No, she don't mean you. She's saying that's what KJ would do. No, not you, honey. I don't realize it when I say, no, I don't realize. You did the same thing. No, not you, Deb. Guaranteed. I will say it has nothing to do with you. Yeah. Manson being like KJ. Like if KJ was a cult leader, criminal KJ would want to play herself too. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Against Manson's strong objections, Keene appointed Charles Hollowpeter, a former president of the Los Angeles Criminal Courts Bar, as Manson's attorney of record. "You can kill me," Manson said, "but you can't give me an attorney. I won't take one." Keene told Manson that if he found an attorney of his own choosing, he would consider a motion to substitute him for Hollowpeter. I knew Hollowpeter by reputation. Since he'd never be Charlie's bootlicker, I guess he'd last about a month. I was too generous. Toward the end of the proceedings, Manson shouted, "There's no God in this courtroom." As if on cue, a number of family members jumped up and yelled at Keene, "You are a mockery of justice. You are a joke." The judge found 3 of them, Gypsy, Sandy, and Mark Ross, in contempt and sentenced them each to 5 days in the county jail. When Sandy was searched prior to being booked, among the items found in her purse was a buck knife. After this, the sheriff's deputies, who were in charge of maintaining security in the Los Angeles criminal courts, began searching all spectators before they entered the room. You think they would? Are you kidding me? They said that Linda's life was in jeopardy, and they're allowing these Manson family members in there, and they're not even checking to see if they've got knives? That's insane. Oh, you're back now. Okay. There you go. There's the link. Okay, you feel better. Yeah, no, she wasn't talking about you, I promise. No, nobody in here acts like her, like, ever. Toward the end of the proceedings, Manson shouted, "There!" Oh, I just read that. Blah, 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 blah. On March 7th, Linda Kasabian was taken to the hospital. 2 days later, she gave birth to a boy, whom she named Angel. On the 13th, she was returned to the jail without the child, Linda's mother having taken him back to New Hampshire. In the interim, I had talked to Captain Carpenter, and he had agreed to let Linda remain in her former cell just off the infirmary. I checked it out myself. It was a small room, its furnishings consisting of a bed, a toilet bowl, a wash basin, and a small desk and chair. It was clean but bleak. Far more important, it was safe. Every few days, I called McGann. No, he hadn't got around to looking for the knives yet. On March 11th, Susan Atkins, after formally requesting that Richard Calabero be relieved as her attorney, asked for Day Shin in Calabero's place. What? What's my Vimo? Did I really just give you my Vimo? What the fuck am I doing? Sorry. Oh my God. There we go. How the hell did that get in there? Okay. Inasmuch as Shin, one of the first attorneys to call him Manson after he was brought down from Independence, had represented Manson on several matters and had visited him more than 40 times. Judge Keene felt there might be a possible conflict of interest involved. Shin denied this. Keene then warned Susan of the possible dangers of being represented by an attorney who had been so closely involved with one of her co-defendants. Susan said she didn't care. She wanted Shin. Keene granted the substitution. There she is. What happened?
Yeah, my dog knocked the cord to my computer again. Only time, instead of like knocking it out a little, it like fell behind the drawer part of my desk.
Oh no.
So I had to like crawl under, try and fish around. Like I barely got it. I was like, perfect timing, Mutt.
Oh my God. Well,
lucky she's cute.
yeah. Which one, Dakota?
This was Willow.
Oh, okay.
She's the one that's always under the desk. And well, Dakota will too when she tries to be a pain in the butt to her sister, but it's mainly Willow's spot.
I'm just going to read this couple sentences and then we'll go on to your pictures.
Sure.
Okay, I hadn't come up against Shin before. He was about 40, Korean-born, according to the press. His main practice before allying himself with the Manson defense had been obtaining Mexican domestics for Southern California families. On leaving the courtroom, Shin told waiting reporters that Susan Atkins definitely will deny everything she told the grand jury. On March 15th, we took Linda Kasabian out again. Only this time, we used not a conspicuous sheriff's van, but unmarked police cars. When I wanted Linda to trace the route the killers had taken the night of LaBianca's killing. All right. Now we can do these photos. So this is the Spawn Ranch one?
Yeah, that is the Spawn movie ranch. Right behind those buildings, it's kind of like a small cliffy hill that has the river. And it's along that river that you have that kind of iconic photo of the Manson girls all in that big kind of like a shell type
Like the
rock.
cave?
Yeah, that little cave rock thing that happened right below the buildings here. So it goes down a bit and you got the river, and then it goes up and you got the mountain behind it.
Oh wow.
And this, where the buildings are right now, it's all a field. It's all burnt down.
Yeah, because everything burned, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, both ranches have burnt since, but
Sorry, I'm just trying to put the other photo up. Here's one of you in color.
yeah, so that's the hot mess. But you can see the rocks behind me.
Yeah, there's the rocks there.
So I'm
You don't need to.
standing like right where the buildings are, kind of
Oh,
angled
wow.
off to the side. So this is where.
And here's the other one. This is the ranch again.
Yeah, it's a then and now.
Ah, gotcha. So there's what it was and now what it is, which is
Yep.
nothing.
Right.
Everything's gone. Wow. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I was just showing that, the kind of then and now.
Yeah, that's neat. Oh, I better get this. I got people's messages up there. Oops. See, Albie says it's not a hot mess. Let's be positive. I'll keep going for what, a couple more pages then, maybe? Or should I just stop? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's up to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to finish this chapter tonight. All right, I'll just read on a bit more. After dinner that night, Saturday, August 9th, 1969, Linda and several other family members were standing outside the kitchen at Spawn. Manson called Linda, Katie, and Leslie aside and told them to get a change of clothing and meet him in the bunkhouse. This time he mentioned nothing to Linda but the knives, but he did tell her again to get her driver's license. I just looked at him and, just sort of pleaded with my eyes, please don't make me go, because Linda said, I just knew we were going out again, and I knew it would be the same thing, but I was afraid to say anything. Last night was too messy. Manson told the group when they assembled the bunkhouse, this time I'm going to show you how to do it. Tex complained that the weapons they had used the previous night weren't effective enough. Linda saw 2 swords in the bunkhouse, one of which was the straight Satan sword. She did not see anyone pick them up, but she later noticed the Satan sword and 2 smaller knives under the front seat of the car. In questioning DeCarlo, I've learned that one night about this time, he noticed that the sword had been taken out. Again, the group piled into Swartz's Ford. This time, Manson himself slipped into the driver's seat with Linda next to him. Clem on the passenger side, Tex, Sadie, and Katie and Leslie crowded in the back. All wore dark clothing. Linda said except for Clem, who had on an olive drab field jacket, as he often did. Manson wore a leather thong around his neck, the 2 ends extending down to his breastbone, where they were looped together. I asked Linda if anyone else was wearing such a thong. She said no. Before they left, Manson asked Bruce Davis for some money. Just as DeCarlo took care of the family guns, Davis acted as controller for the group, taking care of the stolen credit cards, fake IDs, and so forth. They drove off, and Manson told them that tonight they would divide into 2 groups. Each would take a separate house. He said he'd drop off one group, then take the second group with him. When they stopped to buy gas using cash on a credit card, Manson told Linda to take over the driving. Questioning Linda, I established that Manson, and Manson alone, gave all the instructions as to where they were going to go and what they were going to do. At no time, she said, did Tex Watson instruct anyone to do anything. Charlie was in complete command. Following Manson's directions, Linda took the freeway to Pasadena. Once off it, he gave her so many directions she was unsure where they were. Eventually, he told her to stop in front of a house, which Linda described as a modern, one-story, middle-class type home. This was the place where, as described by Susan Atkins, Manson got out, had them drive around the block, then got back in, telling them that, having looked in the window and seen photographs of children, he didn't want to do that particular house. Though, he added, in the future, it might be necessary to kill children also. Linda's account was essentially the same as Susan's. After riding around Pasadena for some time, Manson took over the driving. Linda, I remember, we started driving up the hill with lots of houses, nice houses, rich houses, and trees. We got to the top of the hill and turned around and stopped in front of a certain house. Linda couldn't remember if it was 1 story or 2, only that it was big. Manson, however, said the houses were too close together here, so they drove off. Shortly after this, Manson spotted a church. Pulling into the parking lot next to it, he said he again got out. Linda believed, but wasn't absolutely sure, that he told them he was going to get the minister or priest. However, he returned a few minutes later, saying the church door was locked. Susan Atkins had neglected to mention the church in her account. I have learned it for the first time from Linda. Manson again told Linda to drive, but the route he gave her was so confusing that she soon became lost. Later, driving up Sunset from the ocean, there occurred another incident which Susan Atkins had neglected to mention. Observing a white sports car ahead of them, Manson told Linda, at the next light, pull up beside it. I'm going to kill the driver. Linda pulled up next to the car, but just as Manson jumped out, the light changed to green and the sports car zoomed away. another potential victim, unaware to this day how close to death he had come. Thus far, their wanderings appeared totally at random, Manson seemingly having no particular victims in mind. As I later argued to the jury, up to this time, no one in the vast, sprawling metropolis of 7 million people, whether in a home, a church, or even a car, was safe from Manson's insatiable lust for death, blood, and murder. But after the sports car incident, Manson's direction became very specific. He directed Linda to Los Feliz section of Los Angeles, not far from Griffith Park, having her stop on the street and from a home in a residential area. Linda recognized the house. In June of 1968, she and her husband had been driving from Seattle to Tahoe when they stopped off in Los Angeles. A friend had taken them to the house, 3267 Waverly Drive, for a peyote party. One of the men were living there, she recalled, was named Harold. In another of the many coincidences which abounded in this case, Linda had also been told to Harold's true residence, though at the time none of the family members were there. Linda asked, "Charlie, you're not going to go to that house, are you?" Manson replied, "No, the one next door." Telling the others to stay in the car, Manson got out. Linda noticed him shove something into his belt, but she couldn't see what it was. She watched him walking up the driveway until it curved and he disappeared from sight. I presumed, although I couldn't be sure of this, that Manson had a gun for Rosemary and Lino LaBianca. The horror that would end in their deaths had begun. Linda guessed at the time was about 2 a.m. Some 10 minutes later, she said Manson returned to the car. I asked Linda if he was still wearing the leather thong around his neck. She said she hadn't noticed, though she did notice later that night that he no longer had it. I showed her the leather thong used to bind the wrist of Lino LaBianca, and she said it was the same kind Manson had been wearing. Manson told Tex, Katie, and Leslie to get out of the car and bring their clothing bundles with them. Obviously, they were to be the first team. Linda heard some, though not all, of the conversation. Manson told the trio that there were 2 people inside the house, that they had tied them up and told them that everything was going to be all right and that they shouldn't be afraid. He also instructed Katie, Tex, and Leslie that they were not to cause fear and panic in the people, as had happened the night before. The LaBiancas had been creepy crawled, pacified with Charles Manson's innocuous assurances, then set up to be slaughtered. Linda only heard bits and pieces of the rest of the conversation. She did not hear Manson specifically order 3 to kill the 2 persons, nor did she see them carrying any weapons. She believed she heard Manson say, "Don't let them know you are going to kill them," and she definitely heard him instruct them that when they were done, they were to hitchhike back to the ranch. As the trio started toward the house, Manson got back in the car and handed Linda a woman's wallet, telling her to wipe off the prints and remove the change. In opening it, she noticed the driver's license, which had a photo of a woman with dark hair. She recalled the woman's first name was Rosemary, while the last name was either Mexican or Italian. She also remembered seeing a number of credit cards and a wristwatch. When I asked Linda the color of the wallet, she said it was red. Actually, it was brown. She also claimed to have removed all the change, but when the wallet was found, there were still some coins in one of the inner compartments. Both were understandable errors. I felt particularly overlooking the extra change compartment. Manson again took over the driving. Linda was now on the passenger side, Susan and Clem in the back. Manson told Linda that when they reached a predominantly colored area, he wanted her to toss the wallet out onto a sidewalk so a black person would find it, use the credit cards, and be arrested. This would make people think the Panthers had committed the murders, he explained. Manson drove into the freeway, not far from where they had dropped off Tex, Katie, and Leslie. After driving for a long time, he pulled off the freeway and stopped at a nearby service station. Apparently having changed his plans, Manson now told Linda to put the wallet in the woman's restroom. Linda did. Only she hid it too well, lifting the top of the toilet tank and placing it over the bulb, where it would remain undiscovered for 4 months. I asked Linda if she could remember anything distinctive about the station. She remembered there was a restaurant next door and that it seemed to radiate the color orange. There was a Denny's restaurant next to the standard station that's similar, with a large orange sign. While Linda was in the restroom, Manson went to the restaurant, returning with 4 milkshakes. Probably at the same time the LaBiancas were being murdered, the man who had ordered their deaths was sipping on a milkshake. Again, Manson had Linda drive. After a long time, perhaps an hour, they reached the beach somewhere south of Venice. Linda recalled seeing some oil storage tanks. All 4 got out of the car, Sadie, Clem at Charlie's instructions, dropping behind while he and Linda walked ahead in the sand. Suddenly, Manson was again all love. It was as if the events of the last 48 hours had never happened. Linda told Charlie that she was pregnant. Manson took Linda's hand and, as she described it, "It was sort of nice, you know, we were just talking. I gave him some peanuts, and he just sort of made me forget about everything, made me feel good." Would the jury understand this? I thought so, once they understood Manson's charismatic personality and Linda's love for him. I don't know, I think maybe stop there, and in case anybody's got any questions or whatever. It's almost 2 hours. Yeah. I'll end it in like 15 minutes. Let me see the comments.
If you wanted to play more of that Helter Skelter movie, I do have it time-stamped with the parts that Linda was just talking about.
Sure.
Sort of.
Send it in Twitter.
I can bring up the...
Oh, can you play it? If you can, that's fine too.
No, but it's just a YouTube video.
Okay.
But it's the same, the Helter Skelter 2004.
Okay.
I might not need to send it in Twitter. It comes right up. If puppy, you stay away from the cords. I don't trust this dog now.
Okay, I'll bring it up.
So depending on which one you wanted to watch, I have it time-stamped where she is talking about, it shows her point of view from the Tate murders. And then I have it where it shows the LaBiancas. And I know we have seen Susan Atkins' for point of view.
Okay, I'm at the Helter Skelter 2004. Just let me know what the timestamp is.
Okay, do you want the Tate ones or the LaBianca ones?
I don't know. What do you think?
Let's go ahead and do LaBianca's because we showed some of the Tates.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
And so that one starts at about, give or take a little bit here because I was trying to find them really fast in this last minute. But it was right around like 53:30. Okay. And it starts with them talking a little bit about the Tate murders themselves.
All right, I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, I got to mute too, or else I'll get an echo. All right, here we go.
It's subtitled, but it is in English, folks.
Or something. Yeah, I hate to say it, but you almost hope it is something like that. Something that could explain it.
Oh, please, Ro, I'm sick of hearing about it already.
Oh, come on, Lino. It's a terrible thing that happened to those people.
I know, but there must be something else that happened in the world today. I mean, did the war stop? Did Nixon take the day off? I mean, something. What?
They said Roman Polanski's whole family was killed by the Nazis in Poland. All their fame, all their money. Look what happens.
Bye, honey.
Bye, sweetheart. We love you.
Love you.
I love you too.
Don't forget to lock your door.
I won't.
Bye.
Last night, it wasn't cool last night. It was messy. Way too messy all the way around. So I'm gonna have to show you how it's done. Gonna split up in 2 groups tonight. Gonna have to jumpstart Helter Skelter. This looks like as good a house as any.
You scared? Are you? Whatever will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Que sera, sera.
There now. Now, as long as you cooperate, as long as you play along, nobody gets hurt. You see? You understand?
What do you want?
Okay, Tex, Katie, Leslie, you go inside. There's 2 people. Got them tied up in their car. Right? Now, last night, you let them people know that you were going to kill them. That's what caused all the panic, see? These people don't need to let them know nothing, okay? Just maintain, play it cool and casual, kind of like you live here, all right? All right, get your clothes. You go in there, and I want you to paint a painting for me. The painting that I'm looking for is more gruesome than anybody's ever seen. That's the title of that painting, all right? All right. Hitchhike back to the ranch when you're done. Off you go. Hey, wipe this for Prince. Take the change. You do it now. Hey, you do what I told you.
I hid the wallet behind the toilet.
Good. Girl, now see some black. He's gonna find that. Take himself out on the town with Whitey's credit card line and get busted and blamed. You see? Did good. Let's go.
Whoa. Oh, yay!
Thanks, Dad.
Hey,
Dad.
one more word out of you, little Johnny, and I'm gonna be pulling over right now.
No, Dad, no, Dad.
I'm serious. One more sign in this car. There's gonna be hell to pay. There's gonna be some hell. You ever had yourself an ass whooping?
No, Daddy.
Well, you just circle your calendar. Today is the day. Today is the day. Who's got my keys? Who's got my keys? You got keys. Oh, I got my keys.
It's funny, that's all.
Well, all right. Here we go. So how old are you, little sister?
19.
Well, I'm 34. One and a half of that 34. That's how long I've been in prison. You know what 1.5, 34 years in prison gave me?
What?
Prison gave me fear. Prison gave me the gift of fear. You see, I found out that fear keeps you alive, protects you, teaches you things. All right? If you can learn to face your fear and learn to live with it. Now, you think you can get up on this world and do that?
I don't know.
That's it. That's it. Come on. I want you to face your fear. Kill me.
What?
Face your fear. Kill me now means nothing.
I'm not you, Charlie.
kill you then. See, death, that's just an illusion. Death. Listen now. Love, fear. Okay, love, fear. Feel that love, fear. Receive it. Give it. It's your only weapon in this world. It's your only defense in this life.
What about love?
Is there love outside? There's no love outside. Didn't the world prove that to you already?
I'm pregnant, Charlie. I'm not exactly sure who the father is.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's another life. Another life with no program, no ego. Listen, all your love needs is you gotta trust. Trust yourself. Trust my love. Come to now. Come to now where no sense suddenly makes sense. You see, no sense makes sense. No sense makes sense. No sense makes sense.
Should I stop there or keep going?
Yeah, that's a good spot. I thought it was in a different spot, but actually that fit too because you also read that where she was hiding the wallet, telling him she's pregnant. So
Yeah, it was like identical. That's like when you told me that, I was like, oh, cool. I gotta see this for myself. So I watched the movie and I'm reading the book, and everything is to a T. It's crazy. Well, it's not crazy. It's good. I love it when movies are like that because, they exaggerate everything in movies.
yeah, you didn't have to exaggerate anything with this case. In fact, no matter how extreme you get, it's still toned down. That's how nuts it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is good that they actually make movies that are true to the books.
Yeah, I agree. It's bad it wasn't always that way. Because I know they'll make a movie and there's like maybe one little tiny part that's actually true, and then they make up everything else.
Yeah.
And
so
then we are able to say based on a true story, and it's like, really?
Yeah, that just means lots of liberties taken. That's a code. Doesn't say how
You guys
based.
have any questions?
I will kind of chirp in a little bit on part where that you had read earlier, where basically Manson kind of twitches his nose at Sadie and tells her to, refuse to testify.
Yeah.
As she had planned, and she obeys, and luckily she listened because they had already offered her immunity and now they could take the immunity back. That's the one part where I was so glad she listened to what Charlie said, because she literally shot herself in the foot and she deserves every freaking bullet she can shoot at herself. But
yeah.
Sorry, I've had coffee. I talk a little bit faster.
No worries. I'm drinking tea.
As you can kind of see, like in that movie clip and with reading about Linda Kasabian, if any of them deserved immunity, it was Linda. She was the only one who wasn't, all giddy and happy and thrilled. Yeah. Oh gosh.
No, she was very upset. I love that I finally found a group of people that have brains. Well, thank you.
But I know my opinion of Linda is a little bit different than other victims' family members. So and because their opinions are they're important and valid, I do want to kind of highlight that some, and I'm not saying all, and I'm not even going to say which ones, but there are the victims' family members that are a little bit more angry towards Linda getting immunity. And I can fully understand why. She was there. She could have called for help, she could have ran, but she didn't. And so I do very much understand that point of view. I'm not saying that she was completely innocent. The only thing that I'm kind of chiming in here is that if any of them had to get immunity, I'm glad it was her and
Yeah.
not Susan Atkins.
Not exactly. Yes, me too. I mean, I don't agree with her not telling anyone or not running to the neighbors, not saying something. But the thing is, her daughter was at the ranch.
Right. And I think my mom could understand a little bit more of her being too scared to go because of her daughter being there. But at the same time, she eventually, when she did leave, she had to leave her daughter behind anyways. So it's,
Yeah, I don't know about leaving her behind. I don't know about
maybe,
leaving her behind. Like, did she have to? Was there not any way she could grab her daughter?
I think she was trying. Well, the kids were pretty guarded. The kids were all in like a little group that they kept and together away from their parents.
Okay.
And it wasn't like they were stood over and they just would have one or two people watching the kids.
So she would have got caught.
Yeah, she would have been seen.
Okay. Because I remember watching that scene when she left and her daughter was still there. I thought, how could you fucking do that? Oh my God. I would never. No matter what it took.
And then, I mean, like, who knows what she was thinking at that time? I'm not gonna like kind of claim to be her, but
Yeah.
Maybe by the time at that point she felt her daughter was in a little bit more of a safer position. Maybe it had changed somehow, and I don't know, but yeah, it's of all the people that could have gotten immunity. If somebody had to, I was glad Linda did. So and this is kind of ties in with where my mother is in this case. The defense argument against Linda is that she is getting immunity. And then they kind of use that as a way to discredit her testimony. And so this is why my mother's testimony was needed, because she was able to back up everything that Linda Kasabian was claiming about Helter Skelter, and so she was the backup to Linda, and my mom didn't get immunity. So it was kind of the prosecution's way of validating Linda's testimony.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how my mom kind of fits in the whole.
Well, yeah.
Little bit there.
Al says, that is who hid with Tex in the mountains while they did the murders, right? Linda?
That was who hid with Tex in the mountains. I'm not sure exactly which murders you're talking about. Tex Watson was at both murder locations.
Yeah.
Their plan was for all of the Manson family to kind of hide in the mountains during the whole Helter Skelter motive. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that question.
Yeah, and Brittany says it was a couple of years before she got her daughter. See, I wouldn't take that. What I would do, I don't know. I wasn't in that position, but I mean, maybe I would have. Okay, say fine. I left my daughter there, but I would go straight to the police station, grab my kid, and disappear. Not just disappear from my daughter. That's one thing I didn't like either. No way.
And it wasn't that she was with the Manson family for a couple of years when this crime when everybody was starting to get arrested, when they were raided, all the kids were taken into protective custody. And so she was with the state for a bit.
Nancy wants to know what happened to her daughter.
I don't know that.
I know she got her back.
Well, yeah,
a couple years later.
I am not in contact with Linda or her family.
Yeah.
I think Linda, she did come out with an interview eventually.
I've seen it.
Way long down the road, and she still kept her face kind of in a shadow, hidden. And I got the impression that she was a little bit like my mom in the way of moving far away from California and living a life of obscurity and keeping that part of your
Yeah.
history out of the way. So I have a feeling that that's what she did, just kind of watching that interview, was that she chose an area where they didn't know her.
Yeah. Al says it may have been Bobby, I think, in relation to the question she had asked you earlier.
Bobby
Beausoleil?
Beausoleil was already in prison for the Hinman and later the Shea.
Yeah. And then she said, or it could have been in Hollywood, but thanks for clarifying. She went into hiding after. Okay. Yeah, when she left, she went into hiding. I was just kind of saying, like, I don't know. I mean, I know that these people are crazy and probably would have tried to come after me. I just can't see myself waiting years to get my kid. I would have went right back there with the police, got my kid, and then fucked off. Like, went into, like, witness protection or something. But I don't know. I'm not Linda. So it's really hard to say.
Yeah, as this case was going to trial, there were just kind of a couple common branches on how the Manson family broke up. Basically,
Yeah.
they were either in jail, or they were in hiding, or they were on the front steps shaving their heads bald. And actually, after the murders and during the trial, the Manson members grew, and that I'll never understand.
No. Holy. It grew. That's insane. Well, he kind of, even though, like, what happened and everything, Charlie became a celebrity, did he not? Like, well, infamous.
Yeah.
So I think that I can actually believe growing. Yeah, I can believe it. Like, he was getting letters left, right, and center from women who wanted to be with him. Just insane. Like, look at Chris Watts. He's a piece of shit. People think he's just because he's good looking or something. Like, I don't know. They just write letters to him. They want to say they want to be with him.
Yes, or they're still, defending him. Well, he didn't
Yeah.
physically stab any, No.
No, he deserved to be where he was, and I'm glad he was. And I'm glad he's dead.
Yep, me too.
So hopefully that whole Manson bullshit can stop now. Like, I can't see. I think it's done and over with now. There's no more family, right?
He does have people trying to, and it's not necessarily Manson family, but it's the followers keeping his memory alive.
Oh my God. Okay.
And pretty much any Manson family person that is trying to get out of jail and has become Christian as an excuse of saying why they should be released. At some point, it's like every single one of them at least has one or two churches that
Wow.
are just supporting them and praying for them. And I was like, well, you can support and pray for them all you want, but that doesn't mean they should be let out of jail. Support them from
Fuck
jail.
no.
Why is that so hard?
Yeah, I can't see them ever getting out. I really can't. It was too horrible. It was too heinous of a crime. People are still alive that are hurting from that crime. There's no way in hell.
And
I
they're
can't
still
see it.
lying
There
about
would
it,
be hell to pay
not
if
showing
they did.
remorse. Yeah.
I can see them being offed, if you know what I mean. Like, if one of them got out, I can't see them living. There'd be some vigilante justice for sure. That's what I think. Yeah, there's no way. And that's why they might as well just keep them in jail. They don't deserve to live after what they did.
Susan Atkins was almost released. And
Jeez.
when she was super sick and had cancer and was basically on hospice, they wanted to.
Oh, okay.
And it was more of a way for, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion, it would have been as a way so that the jail would not have to pay for her health care at the very end. But
So
she has been in jail. She has no job. The state would have been paying for it anyways. So
yeah.
Stay in jail, lady. And and she did.
Yeah, because if she got out, she'd have no one paying.
Yeah.
So is that like, what do you mean? Like maybe then she would suffer, right?
It was basically as a way to like maybe change who could fit the bill, but she wouldn't have been paying for it anyway, so it would have been paid for because she was in jail, whether or not she got out by then or not. She was too sick.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? If not, I'm just gonna end this because it's been like 2 hours. I need to eat. I'm cooking a cottage pork roast, I think it's called. They're like salty as hell, but really good. So I've got that in my crock pot, and I was like, huh. So I've been sitting here smelling it. I'm in my kitchen on my laptop, so that's all I can smell. So of course I'm always hungry, but it's making me really hungry. There are weird people out there that would want to restart a cult like family like that. Yeah, I agree, Nancy. I could see it. All in the name of Charlie Manson. Mm-hmm. I think there already is one, right? Like internet wise.
Oh, there's plenty of, but he's got people supporting him like all around the globe. It's nuts. But yeah, even that
Tex got married and had children while in jail. That's not fair. They didn't have that. Oh my God. Sharon never got that right to have her baby. Why the fuck should he? I don't agree with that. Getting married. You're in prison for a reason. You shouldn't get married and have children. I don't think that's great at all. I don't know. I don't think it's right.
It is amazing how many rights criminals have and their victims have absolutely none.
Yes, that is 100% true statement. I watch a lot of true crime, and you're right. They're more protected than the fucking victim, and it pisses me right off. Like, he should never got married and was able to have children. No. Hell no. And it should have been rubbed in his face. Did you allow Sharon to have her baby? No. So why the fuck are you? Hell no. It's Mayor had a sandwich. Yeah, I need a snack bag.
Well, it's not just, marriage with kids. They've gone on to have college degrees and have worked that off too. They've graduated from, it's infuriating.
If you're in jail for the rest of your, or in prison for the rest of your life, you don't need a college degree. You need to sit in the corner and rot, as far as I'm concerned. You got any end notes or anything?
No. No. Not really.
All right. Sorry, I'm munching on peanuts. Okay. I'm going to end this because I'm going to have to eat. I'm hungry. Now I need to put this video, not this one, but the one I was done earlier that completely just died on me. So now I've only got half of it. And then I have to do the second part to it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'll put that out tonight. And then I'll put the other one out tomorrow morning, I think. Yeah, might as well. All right. Well, you guys have a great night. Thanks for joining me. And thanks for joining me, Artsy.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye, you guys.
Bye.